Hey guys, welcome back. We're Cassie and Tara, twin sisters and technical analysts. Today, we're discussing the charts, showing key levels and what we're expecting next in the crypto market using our framework, Elliott Wave Theory, RSI, and Fibonacci. And if you want more analysis throughout the week, inside our Discord, we're hosting a daily live stream where we come together and prepare for the trading day. Join us at twinsofcrypto.com. Today's stream is sponsored by Blofin, a trusted exchange where traders in the US can get access to futures and leverage trading. So make sure to use our Twins of Crypto link in the description to sign up. Okay, guys, in just a moment, we're going to get started. This is going to be streaming on X and also on Twins of Crypto YouTube. So come say hi to us in the chat, pull up your charts, and let's see what Bitcoin and XRP are telling us today.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Hey. Welcome to our Friday live stream.
Yes.
It's good to see you all here. Make sure to say hi in the chat if you're here and where you're from, where you're tuning in from.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Yeah, because we're streaming on X right now and also on YouTube. So if you're catching us over there, make sure to say hi. Hi, Just. You're our first hello in the chat over there. So we hope you all had a great week. I can't believe it's Friday already. It's just this week went by so fast. Hi, Future Kine. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Ryan. Hope you all are having a great day. Yes.
Yes, lots of people tuning in on X already, so that's great.
Hi, Sunny. Hey, Dave.
Take a few minutes for people to start joining.
Okay.
We're going to do a few things different today. So later on into the live stream, we are going to have like a dedicated Q&A session. So as questions come in throughout this stream, we'll make sure to talk about them later on into the live stream. So if you have any questions as we get going, make sure to do that and put them in the chat, and we'll kind of collect them that way. So so we have a really interesting one today where the market is just pretty much stalling flat and we're not really seeing a good clear push up or push down. So really, this usually means that a bigger load is coming. So that is kind of what we're expecting. Yeah. So the big question, I guess, today that we're going to break down is, will we be breaking up or are we going to be breaking down?
Yeah, because it's right in the middle of both of those decisions. So
So let us know in the chat what team you're on. If you think that we're going to have a really strong break up or a strong breakdown. So let us know what team you're on with that. But as we go through the stream today, we're going to talk through key levels and we'll talk about different scenarios so you know exactly what to watch for next. So good to see all of you saying hi. We have tuning in from Holland. We have tuning in from Chicago, Toronto, Nigeria. All over the map today.
Mexico, Panama, Egypt. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
So should we get right into XRP then?
Let's get into it. Yeah, I think how we're going to do it is I'll be sharing my XRP chart, and then Tara will get into Bitcoin, and then we'll look at some altcoins, maybe do a little recap, and then a Q&A. And then we'll wrap up for the day today. So let's jump right into XRP. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here.
Okay.
Okay, so you should be seeing my XRP macro chart. I've been charting the macro here on Binance because it's a little bit more cleaned up than what I see over on the small time frames and all my fibs there. So we're going to flip between two different charts. And we're going to start with XRP on the higher time frames. So here we're zooming out and we're looking at the bigger picture. So we'll take a look at structure, different key levels, and where we are at in the overall cycle. And this is going to help us get our directional bias like before we get more zoomed in. So let's do that. If you guys have been following us for a while, really this macro has not changed in quite some time. So this may be a recap for some of you. But for those of you that don't know where we're at in the macro, this is going to be for you. So here we are stepped way back, and this is on the daily time frame. And since the all-time high, we are forming a wave 2. So that's what we're looking at here. You can see right at our all-time high that kind of completed a nice impulse up, and it came perfectly to fib extension. So that is very clearly our wave, first wave there of this trend. And we have this correction ever since that is just correcting that first main trend off of the consolidation that we saw for like 7 years. So this is the kickoff of this new trend. So in this wave 2, you can see here on Binance that we've already come to the 854 retracement level. That's a very deep retracement. That's 85% correction from all-time high. And normally our wave 2 would only target like the 618, which is right in here. So we've already reached key levels for this wave 2. As we start to zoom in more, we can get an idea on if we have already exhausted the support down here and picked up the liquidity and should be moving on, or if we're going to need deeper levels. So what's really interesting here on Binance is that this was the only exchange, or one of the few exchanges, that actually went this low when we had this big flush in October. And so it does look a little bit different than if you are over on the Coinbase chart. And right now they're about 10 cents off in the targets. So what we're thinking here is the XRP will probably be coming lower to retag some of that liquidity that was picked up or just teased on in that big drop in October. So I'm thinking that we're going to be coming down to those lower levels, and we'll get more precise as we zoom in. But just looking at this macro time frame, you can see that we have already reached really significant levels. This definitely isn't a level that you would want to short or sell anything waiting for those lower prices, because we have already come to very significant levels in a very deep retracement. So in my opinion, and we've kind of said this for probably the last several months, is that as we're sitting right below support and resistance, you want to wait for those significant levels to be reached before making any major decisions in your trading or holdings. So at this time, you would be looking for our lower supports to be reached to buy in. On Binance, if I get zoomed in just a little bit, we have the 786 right at $1. And then that lower 854, which is around 77 cents. And like I said, over on Coinbase, it's about 10 cents off. So on Coinbase, the 786 is looking at $1.10, and that lower support is at 87 cents. So it's just very important that you're charting and paying attention to the exchange that you're going to be trading on. And you can see here why, because it's about 10 cents off. So I do still think that we're going to be coming down to these levels down here, and really nothing changes in that plan unless we start to break up above our resistance. And we've held this resistance for a few months now, since the beginning of February. On Binance, it's right around $1.57-ish. And like I said, Coinbase is about 10 cents off, and that's more like $1.65-ish for its 618. When we zoom in a little bit, we'll be getting Coinbase levels here in a second. So that's kind of what we're looking at, and prices kind of just stalled here and not giving us very many signs. So that's kind of why I said, like, this stall and this ranging for so long usually leads to a very significant market move. And I do think as we've stalled here, it's more likely and more probable that we'll come down to supports before getting the strength to break that resistance. So that's what we're seeing here on the macro time frame. And like I said, I'd like to kind of keep this chart clean so that when I'm on the macro, it's not so messy with my small time frame fibs.
Yeah.
And as I was saying in the beginning, if you guys are just joining us, at the end, we're going to have like a dedicated Q&A. So just throw your questions into the chat and we can come back to them once we have time to do so. If you want to know about anything that we're not covering today, any other altcoins or any questions that you have that we don't cover, that would be a good time to ask that question.
Mm-hmm. Homie, this is on TradingView. So this is the TradingView software that she's charting on right now.
Yes. Yeah. I know it is kind of funny, Tar, how you have blue and I have red. Like this is
right.
We went colorful today.
I like that color on you. I don't think I've seen that shirt before. Yeah. I know you've seen this one many times.
I have seen that. I stray away from blue, but
usually I do too, but I wanted to get attention. I wanted to stick out.
You got it. You got the attention. Okay, so that's what we're seeing kind of here on the macro. Yeah. Let's get more zoomed in now and get a little bit more precise with what we're thinking here. So we'll start to look at the smaller time frames. And this is really where we can identify, like, what are the actual next steps? What are we watching the structure to play out in order to determine if a breakout is going to happen or a breakdown? So that's really what that small time frame is for. Here on the macro, it's just kind of getting our bias where for sure it's coming down for a wave 2, but that wave 2 has already reached target levels. So not like much can be said on this macro. So we do have to get zoomed in. And I have my chart small time frames over here on Coinbase. And as of today, I've been in on the hourly. We have many subwaves forming where even yesterday I was zoomed into like the 15-minute. So let's see. I can break down the 15-minute too. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. So zoomed in as much as I can. Well, actually, let's start a little bit zoomed out and then you can kind of see. So these are our macro fibs here that I was just showing on Binance. These are the equivalent over on Coinbase. So we have our macro 618. Coinbase, that's about $1.65, and we are holding under there for a few months now. This is that price action, all holding underneath that resistance. And then we have our support down below. And the 786, like I said, is $1.10 on Coinbase, or $1.09, kind of more rounded to $1.10. And then that lower level is at 87 cents. So almost perfectly 10 cents off between exchanges. So that's what you're seeing here today. And I'm tracking this 5-wave down from our last trend line touch. So from the top there, I'm just trying to track 5 waves down. That's going to lead us more down towards those lower supports. It is really difficult to know where this 5-wave kind of fits in the larger cycle here on the wave 2. Because what you just saw over on the macro, this wave 2, the waves of it have been pretty much non-existent. Like there are no clear subwaves. It's really hard to break down into an ABC, which is something we would normally expect to see on a wave 2. And it definitely isn't a consolidation. So not a whole lot of subwaves to go off of. So what I like to do is kind of look at our last impulse that's clear to me and kind of break it down from there. So this is what I have right now. We have several degrees that I'm showing you here today. So from our top trend line touch, we have the darker line here in purple. And I like to break my degrees down between the smallest thickness would be like your smallest degree, and then it gets thicker as the degrees go higher. Remember that the higher degrees are always your stronger pull in the market. And as you start to zoom in, those bring in a lot more noise, but are still helpful to help us track timing on those waves and just keep confirming the prices down below. So that's why they're important to me right now, even though I'm not going to be trading the subwaves within here. So let me just zoom in a little bit more. I do think that we are on this wave 3 down. And that wave 3 would break down into 5 of its own subwaves. According to Elliott wave theory, the wave 3 should have 5 just very identifiable subwaves. So whenever you're in a wave 3, you want to try to zoom in and get all 5 of those subwaves. And that's what I've done here in the second thickness. You can see even on that second degree plan, we have come up for our wave 2 already, which was a perfect 618 retracement. And we should be kicking off our wave 3 down. I'm laughing because I feel like we've said that we should be on a wave 3 down for like months now.
And I think during the last live, we're like, okay, during the next live, we're going to be
every single live, like it's gonna happen today. Today is that wave 3 down.
But on the reverse, on the flip side, though, this is definitely not an impulse suggesting a new trend from the bottom. Exactly. So like we started off at the beginning of this live saying, it's really at an inflection point where it needs to break up or break down in order to really get any more clarification on what's going to happen next. But for sure, it's not looking like an impulse of a new trend. So
and even kind of zoomed out on this view over here too. This was the lowest point in the correction here on Coinbase, and it had just significant sell pressure. So that is really what's making us believe that that's the wave 3, and really all of this kind of ranging sideways price action would be part of a wave 4. And just as it keeps developing, it's showing that color even more, that it's definitely wave 4 price action, like not a whole lot going on, a lot of stalling. But because this is surely a wave 3, that normally would lead to a wave 5 to finish off the cycle. So we normally don't pivot in the market off this strong of a sell wave. We would need to have like another double bottom or even kind of another lower low that gets exhausted on the selling before we kind of transition off. So from the wave 4 high there, really we're looking at that larger 5th wave coming down. So I guess you could say that we have maybe 4 degrees of waves here printed. So I know I look like a psychopath at this point, but I do think that all of these are still valid.
Look at how many trends or like just stuff is going on this chart right now.
It all makes sense to me, I swear. Okay, so that I guess if you want to just look at it more like boiled down from our high in our wave 4 here, we're looking for this final wave down to support. And that support would either be the $1.10, the 786 support, or even the really deep 854, which is at 87 cents right now. So either one of those are being targeted. As I count out the subwaves, it really is all aligning to that 87 cents. So I do still think that that's where we're going to land. I actually have my buy a little bit more rounded at 93 cents on Coinbase because I just don't want to miss out. And if it drops down below $1, I don't want to be trying to capture like the bottom, like being cute in this time. I just want to make sure I get in at a good calculated price. So really, we've talked about this. Anything below $1 is going to be a great buy. And I don't think that people should be waiting till you get down to like that 87 cents or even 77 cents on Binance. So that said, it's going to be very risky to be putting in a leverage trade at these lows, because as we start to come down in the market and target those lower supports, that's where stop losses and liquidation points get searched out by algorithms. So I would just be careful about putting any leverage positions down here unless you really know what you're doing, like you're stacking add orders at different liquidation points and you know how to do that properly, or keeping your leverage very, very low if you just really insist on putting leverage in. But overall, I'm just buying spot, and I think that that's the safer route here. For trading leverage, we would want to wait until we get back above this major resistance here. Because as it's below, it's most likely come down. And like I said, that's where we'll really trigger. Like we could get a very deep wick coming down. And even if we have major support at these levels, just be careful with leverage in this time. Once we come back up and flip this resistance to support, then that could be a good signal to get in with some type of trading and leverage there. So I just wanted to put that out there. But as I count out all the subwaves, this is our plan for now. So we have the next big break coming down, targeting the 786. So this is $1.10 on Coinbase, $1 on Binance, coming down and targeting that level. All of our subwaves here are really showing that we could get some choppy price action or reaction off of that support. So all of those, the textbook standard target for that relief would be from the $1.10 up to about $1.20 or $1.21. That's the 382 retracement off of that low. And that's just your standard wave 4 target. But wave 4 can go to more extreme levels. It just can't break into wave 1. So we could see a really strong reaction off of that first support there before coming back down to clear it a little bit more. We could even, instead of aligning kind of like we have here at $1.20, we could see the first one go to more extreme, like $1.28, and then start to consolidate more towards the fib, kind of like this, where you get that consolidation down like that. So that is what I'm thinking is going to happen. What I'm going to wait for in that reaction is our first subwave here to kind of print and give us that idea. These subwave 4s should cluster up like this or form that more like bearish consolidation down towards the $1.10. So that's kind of the two different things that I'm watching for. The next confirmation we should see in this plan is a large wave 3 drop towards that support. And based on my count here, it would be our wave 3 of wave 3 next. So this could be a really sharp wave coming down here next. That's really what I'm expecting to see in this plan. And if we start to break upwards resistance, then some of these internal subwaves would start to get invalidated. So if we start to break up above $1.39, then it invalidates this first wave count that I have here. It doesn't invalidate the lower supports getting reached, but it does invalidate just these internal subwaves that I have counted out. And like I said, these internal subwaves aren't necessarily something that we're trading, but mapping them out like this helps you to know timing of when things should happen and confirming our prices down below. So if we have it mapped out, we can kind of control our patience a little bit, because we can see here, okay, we need our wave 2 next, and we still need our wave 3 down, things like that. So yeah. And it's very hard now. I feel like Tara and I have called out a time frame in like every single one of our lives, and none of them come true. Like I've been waiting for this wave 3 drop for a very long time, probably since the beginning of February, because in February's when we had that sharp drop, we knew it was going to come up for a little relief, and since then we are just expecting these lower supports to get reached. So it's really hard to like give any advice on timing, because I feel like it should happen anytime, and then it just is taking its sweet time to go sideways.
It's so hard when you map out the waves and it's like, okay, you have your targets and now you just have to sit and wait for like this market to develop.
Yes.
Go through it.
I know, and our wave 4 like was perfect with our ABC right up to resistance almost right away. And then since then has just been consolidating into nothing. So that's it's really hard to say when this is gonna happen. Like if I were to give my opinion, I would say that it would happen today. Yeah. Today into the weekend. That's my opinion. So if we start to make a new high above $1.34, I'd have to get reset on this smaller count. But it would still be valid for it to be a wave 2, which is right here. If we start to break the $1.47 high, which is right here, it could still be part of our impulse coming down, but our wave 2 over here would come up a little bit higher, and we might have to reset our count a little bit. We can see that from the top there, like we don't have a whole lot to go off of. We're just doing our best to capture what we see here. So, and I am seeing like this consolidation of price here, which could lean itself towards it being like a corrective pattern for wave 2. Like Tara mentioned, like this definitely is not impulsive. We're not seeing a big, strong impulse out of this. It's looking corrective and like a consolidation. So I do think that we're going to see our wave 3 down next. Yes. So this is wave 2 has already reached its target, Josh. So I think that this should be on our wave 3 next, because you can see this smaller wave 2 target at the 618. has already been reached, it should start to form its wave 3 down next. So in my opinion, we would be on wave 3 coming down next. And that's of wave 3, if I push it over a little bit. That wave 3 is of wave 3 of wave 3.
We're gonna lose so many people in this.
I know. People are gonna be like, oh, okay. But really, all this is showing us is that we would have a strong drop down and a bunch of choppiness reaction off the fib, and then ultimately break down towards the 87. So that's just kind of what we're tracking, and we are getting nothing out of this price action to confirm any of it.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what we see, like in the next few days, is some type of confirmation of this plan. So that's really the bearish plan, is that we would just come down, target those lower levels. This is the small time frame plan of how that would happen. But I do think we should talk about the bullish plan. It is more likely that we would be on this bearish plan, especially with our wave 3 that we saw here. Like we said, normally the market doesn't kick off of this type of selling pressure. We would need to exhaust that selling at one of these next supports down here. But if for some reason the market surprises us and starts to get really bullish, we would need to break up above this $1.65 in order to really change our plan. If we can break up above $1.65 and flip that to support, that really does start to invalidate the need for us to come down to $1.87. So on the flip side, that would be the more bullish scenario. And I think, in my opinion, it's worth waiting to buy the supports down below, or waiting for that confirmation of $1.65 to break in order to buy in there. But everyone is kind of in their own different position with their holdings. So it's hard to give an advice for everyone. But that's just my plan, is that I'm going to buy the supports down below. If we start to come up and break $1.65, then I'm going to be buying $1.65. So there'll be different behaviors at $1.65. Like, it should have an initial strong break above that resistance, possibly towards $1.78, which we've mapped out a few times. If $1.65 breaks, we could see $1.78 before we come back to test $1.65 as support. So that type of behavior is really like what we're looking for, is either a break of resistance coming back to flip as support. That would be a good signal to buy in, or our lower supports. So just having that clear plan should remove a lot of the emotion that has been coming in. People are getting very impatient, and really with any tiny little impulse, like, people are calling that the low is in.
Yeah.
And you can see here, like, nothing has changed. There's nothing changed in this plan. Like, we need to come down to supports or break resistance.
Well, and if it already hit the bottom on that last drop there, it would have already had enough momentum to break past resistance, and it still has.
It wouldn't be stalling here.
Yeah, it would. And now, exactly.
Sorry.
So, okay.
and our wave 3 next should be very obvious, because we think that we're going to kick off from these lows into a wave 3 trend. That is, and it's actually like a wave 3. It's a very strong wave. And it should be very obvious. We shouldn't be stalling under here like we are for a few months. So, so many reasons why I think that lower support should get met. And we're just trying to track how it's going to get met with these subwaves, but the plan doesn't really change on that. So.
And with the last wave 3 drop, the support from that last drop is dwindling. The longer that is going sideways here, we're losing all of the support that it gathered on that last drop there. So if it does break up, it's not going to be able to go very far. And like Cassie said, the next wave that we're tracking, this wave 3, is a very large wave. So ideally, we need to scoop up more of the support and break past resistances almost right away, so that the support that it did gather doesn't start dwindling and fading away. We need to use it for momentum.
Yeah. The support is getting weaker, and also our liquidity is building up at these levels. More and more interest is starting to come in at these levels, and that's just going to make the algorithms target those levels before taking on. The algorithms know exactly how much they have to sell in order for price to reach these levels down here and pick up the liquidity that's sitting down there. So liquidity down there can come in the form of new buys sitting there, and then also liquidation levels that would be down towards those levels. So as it starts to come down, that's where we could get a really strong wick before closing up on these major supports and taking off. So
Cass, do you want to zoom out to the weekly, because we have someone saying that it looks highly bullish on the weekly, so I'd like to see what they're seeing on the weekly.
I don't think that it looks bullish, but I will. Let's see. I'm going to go back to the Binance one where I have less drawings. Okay, so here we are. Where's our bull?
No, then they're saying once the RSI crosses the signal, which I'm assuming that's the MA on the RSI.
But we know this, Tar. The MA, especially on the high time frame, like a weekly, it can look like it's going to cross and not cross.
And he is bringing up the MACD, which is the same exact thing. Yeah. But there's so many fake outs that happen on the MACD, especially on the weekly, because it can look like it's about to cross, but it takes a week for that candle to close. And so it could cross, even for several days, and then even in close still down below it.
Yeah, so if I zoom in a little bit more, what it's looking like to me is that it's coming up to a resistance and definitely has not crossed. So this is the RSI zoomed in as much as I could, and I don't think I can zoom in anymore. This is not crossed, and it definitely is looking like it's coming up to resistance.
We'll use the MA as resistance. The RSI doesn't have a bullish divergence yet. And so with the very last low, with the very last low on the RSI, it was still the low in price.
So the lowest low in price in this correction made a new extreme on the RSI. So that was that selling pressure coming in. What I do see here on the RSI is a good ABC pattern where it's not as clear on price, that nice ABC. We can see, from the all-time high that we have a good A, B, and we're on our C level. So that's a good thing looking at the weekly here. But I don't think that this is any sign of strength here. This is sign that we are hitting resistance. And with this wick that we had here in October too, it's just so much more likely that even especially now that we're down here below the 618, that it would come back to fill and pick up what it missed here in this wick. But wasn't that wick devastating?
Yes, I think we were live that day.
It was one day.
We were live.
We were live that day, but it dropped after our live.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that.
Within like 1 hour.
Yeah, it invalidated the wave 4 during that live.
I remember I was at dinner and you're like, can you look at your chart? And I'm like, I blinked like 5 times. So I'm like, what am I even seeing?
Yeah.
I couldn't even believe it was that low. It was crazy.
Yeah. A lot of orders did not go off on that wick.
Yeah, and so quick.
So even though it did come down to support, the support was not picked up during that time. So it still definitely could come down and pick up more support. We have a couple questions, but I know we were going to save questions for the end, but while we're on XRP, and I know we need to get to Bitcoin too, but while we're on XRP, we have a question to see, we have a question about the wave 4 now on the lower time frames, if you believe it's forming a triangle, which definitely be.
It kind of looks like it with more development, right? Let me go back to Coinbase. What's interesting is a lot of times in wave 4, it will play out like that first initial ABC like we saw here. Let me zoom out just a little bit. Okay. So we have a good ABC printed here for our wave 4, and it just came up perfectly to target. The first A reached to that golden pocket, had a good reaction, and just perfectly came back up to reach the macro 618. So that was really nice and clean there. But then with the price action, I can see kind of a consolidation.
I don't think Elliott wave triangle, at least.
Yeah,
because typically,
I don't think you can.
Typically typically when it forms a triangle, it'll hit the target right away with the impulse, and we already saw an ABC to the target.
It's just too difficult.
An ABC, and now it's just sideways.
Yeah, and if you think about it with like in Elliott wave terms, this would be way too long of a triangle because this would just be our B.
Yeah.
So yeah, it hasn't hit the bottom of the trend line since this low here. So that would be just really weird, I think, for that. Was tracking like this consolidation.
A while.
And a lot of times the price action can form consolidation or look like it's consolidating or even consolidate and not be like an official Elliott wave triangle.
Right.
So I do look at consolidations a lot and set the trend lines, because a lot of times when you have a consolidation and you set the trend lines, it helps you get an understanding of a break of the trend. And that's kind of what I was doing here on the RSI recently. And we had a little bit of a break and it just fell right back in. We had a really strong rejection off of that. So it didn't amount to anything there. So I don't know. I really want to say like today or into the weekend, we should start to see a large wave 3 drop. I don't think that someone was asking if this would be a good time to trade in here. So basically like buy the 786, take profit, buy a few times. And I don't think so, because we may not see this type of behavior like textbook like this, because if in our first push up we take enough of the liquidity, it just might start moving down towards that 87 cents. Or we could, in theory, take off of this 786 level here as the correction low.
Right.
So I really think that any type of trading down in here is going to be risky. Unless you have like it really planned out where you have your holdings in a separate account, you're swing trading maybe in one account and then trading in a different account. That's a different story, because I think you could take these more small term trades and be okay missing out on any future. So if on like your trading account you want to buy $1.10, and this is on Coinbase, remember that Binance is $1 even. Maybe even do like $1.01, but buying the 786 and taking profit at $1.20, that could be a good trade there. Yeah, so not necessarily something to do with like your holdings where you're just buying and then selling all of your holdings, but small short-term trading, I think that could be good.
If you're bored, if you absolutely must.
Yeah, if you need to trade, and really buying any of these major supports down below should produce a really good solid trade and a good reaction that you can at least get to $1.20. Like I said, the extreme would be up towards $1.28. So it could be a good, solid, calculated trade to do. So, yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And you're welcome. And I was going to say, we kind of are getting signs of resisting here. What I'm watching on the RSI is this. We had that break up above, and I'm on the 1 hour RSI. It has a good solid trend here for this consolidation that's happening in price. And you can see we kind of broke up above it and then we're either forming support, which I don't think so, but a lot of times like a break of the trend will give us the momentum we need to finally break down. So that's really what I'm watching for. Are we going to start breaking up, or are we going to ultimately break down for our wave 3?
Question.
Yeah, that's the big question today. And I hope we gave enough scenario of like what I'm looking for, what to watch out for.
I think
to
so.
confirm that happens. But right now, like price action is giving us nothing to go off of. Like I feel like we're just like almost like psychopaths, like we're just like.
Well, we're like forced to give an update when the market literally is not moving. It's like the update is still the same.
For
if the
months,
market is
not moving for months.
Yeah. So everything's still in line. We need a break up or a breakdown.
Yes. Should we look at Bitcoin a little bit, Tara?
Yeah. Let's do
okay,
that.
I think it'd be good to switch over there, and then also kind of zoom out on that macro and get a good sense of where we are in the cycle, and then get more zoomed in if you can.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's flip over to your chart.
Okay.
I always think it's funny that are totally different charts.
Yeah,
Like I can
they
always
are.
tell what chart is yours because you don't do any color. Like you have no color in your fib.
I know, and yours is so colorful and lots of
You
lines.
set your fib set and then you instantly go to change the color. It's like get
Yeah.
this color out of here.
I
I'm
hate
like,
the
can you
color.
just keep the color?
No, the
And
only
then
color I
keep
like.
that like full rainbow of fibs.
Yeah.
Like, on my jar.
I always turn them black just right away. I'm just a very black
like your
person.
soul.
What high time frame am I trying to get to? Okay, let's go to
Maybe
daily.
do like daily.
Maybe. Okay, let's see if it's enough.
Weekly. Oh, that's good.
This looks good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
so-
but wait, before you start,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to give that really bearish scenario.
Should I just delete it? Okay, I'll delete it.
Okay, good, because every time you say that really bearish scenario, I cringe and I'm like, that is not happening.
It's still, yeah.
Don't give that one.
So
Give
if you
the
guys
other
have been
two.
following us for a while, that very bearish scenario is definitely still valid on Bitcoin. We're tracking all scenarios at the same time, and what I just deleted was that very bearish one, and these are the other two. These are this more semi-bullish ones. So we're going to go through that. We want, like Cassie showed on XRP, we like to zoom out first and show you guys our market positioning and where we believe we are within that market cycle, and then that's what defines those lower time frame moves. So that's why we do this. So here on the daily time frame, I like to zoom out enough. When you're starting analysis, zoom out enough so you can see the entire market in one frame. But here on the daily time frame, I'm just going to take you guys through that last all-time high here. This was at like $125,000. So from the all-time high, we're tracking a correction coming down. And this is what we have so far. So pretty minimal retraces on the entire wave down. So I do have some retraces here labeled as it's starting to continue. I actually have to zoom out just a little bit more. So I'm going to go to the weekly. Okay, so here you can see, wait, I want to scale this a little bit better. Oops. Okay, that should be fine. Except I don't know I don't know what I just pushed. But, okay, so this is getting everything in one frame, like I just said, but from the all-time high here, we're looking at this correction. Currently, we're sitting underneath the 382 support. Right now, it's resistance around 79,000, and we're above the 0.5 support at 64.3 or so. This is on crypto.com. All the exchanges have slightly different levels, so make sure you're charting the exchange that you trade on. So right now we're almost smack dab right in between those two levels here. So we did break down past the 0.5 fib here, below 64,000 just for a little bit here. So this really isn't that strong of support anymore. So typically when it breaks down past a fib level like this, it has to come down and reach the next one. So we have lots of confluence and lots of fibs and wave targets targeting this lower level down here. On crypto.com, the 618 down below is at 49.6, but this level is as high as, or as low as 48.8 and as high as 50,000 on some exchanges. So there is some discrepancy between prices there among exchanges. So as you can see with this last all-time high here, this extension only, well, you can't see, I actually deleted it. This extension only reached a 1618 extension from this low here, that last low. And 1618 extension is typically the wave 3 target, not a wave 5. So when it started this correction coming down, we were tracking this as a wave 4. But wave 4 cannot come into wave 1, which is over here at 70,000. It's at 69,000 or so, which obviously, as you know, has already been breached. So technically, we should be invalidated as a wave 4. So that's why we're tracking these two larger ABCs right here. When we get zoomed in a little bit, you'll be able to see it a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
But
And I think, that is really a big question right now between analysts is Bitcoin in a wave 4 or are we breaking down towards the wave 2 levels? So that is a huge question right now on Bitcoin. And I feel like so many people are divided where they're saying Bitcoin really has reached its low
because of those wave 4 targets. So maybe when we zoom in, you can talk about that a little bit more about where the wave 4 kind of would go and where our wave 2 would kind of start to get confirmed.
Yeah, so we'll zoom into the lower time frames, and then we'll zoom out a bit afterwards and show you just like the inclinations of what's going to happen once we get a decisive move on these lower time frames. So so let me go back actually to the daily because we can barely see what's going on. Okay, so here is still the higher time frame. We're on the daily time frame here, and this is the waves that have formed so far in this correction. Here is where that 0.5 level has been breached. So typically, especially on these higher time frame fibs, that 0.5 level is a neutral fib. So it really doesn't confirm or invalidate really any scenario. The fact that we are holding right around this level on this macro time frame just shows how neutral it is right now. And we need a break above that 382 or a break below that 0.5 fib. So that's what we're waiting for, is we need it to break one of these fibs in order to clarify which one of these paths is taking. And so we always,
can you just when you call out the fibs, can you also try to call out the price? Because sometimes it's a little bit blurry in our replay.
Yeah, definitely.
People might want to know the actual price too.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a division in the market right now, and obviously we can see that when markets go sideways like this. So for example purposes, 50% of the market is still assuming this is a wave 4, and the other 50% is on a very bearish wave 2. And so right now it's at the just an inflection point in the market where it needs to make and reach new levels before it can confirm really any of them. So the bulls are not right or correct right now, and the bears are also not correct. So we're at a very neutral spot in the market. So just want to point that it's not really leaning more bullish or really leaning more bearish at this time. This is right here when it really did technically invalidate a wave 4. And so I was a diehard wave 4, obviously from that top there, and it was hard for me to let go of it, but it is technically invalid at this time. So because of this drop here, the wave 4 typically targets a 382 retrace. So this is up here at that 79,000 is the textbook target for wave 4. And it's definitely below that now. So we have a 5-wave structure here in blue that I've been tracking, and a full ABC as well. So up here at this wave 4, this is really the retrace that is the defining moment so far. It could have been this wave 4 here with the wave 5 coming down, or that was our wave B. And the reason why I have wave B here up at this 382 is because of this drop here. So if it was on this blue path here for a 5-wave structure, this wave 5 would have not had this extreme of strength, or this high strength. Typically wave 5 ends a cycle with lower strength, and the fact that we came down, broke past these 2 macro fibs with this much strength, had me believe that this could have been a wave B. And I know it doesn't look like it right now, but this ABC that I have is actually the more bullish ABC that is in play right now. So this wave C has a target right at 52.2, and unfortunately an extended fifth because of this RSI lands exactly at 52.4 or so. So almost exactly at the same level. So again, we still won't have clarity on Bitcoin's mid to long-term path, even if lows are reached during these low time frame waves. So what we really need is a break of these levels, but then we also need to come up, and we'll go over that in a second. So on this wave B, this wave C will have 5 waves down, and then also from this wave 4, the 5th wave will also have 5 waves down. So they're both going to look very similar in their path. And it isn't until we come up and test resistance and how it forms on the way up is really going to be the defining moment that's going to clear up Bitcoin's mid to long-term path. And so we still have that very bearish resistance.
I was just going to say, we weren't going to talk about it, and here you are talking about it.
Well, I'm just going to talk about the resistance, not about the low targets.
Okay.
Okay, so here, so like I was saying, the fact that we're below or in between these macro bids right now, and we're so close, like relatively close to coming down and scooping up this 618 support. This is the bullish scenario. We would want to break down the macro, the 0.5 again at 644, and then come down and scoop this up at 52.2 or as low as 48.8. And if Bitcoin can come down and scoop these up, that would gather enough support to be able to come up and break this heavy resistance that has formed on Bitcoin here at 93,000. So since this low here at wave A on this black scenario here, or since this low here, and just in general, this has been our very strong resistance that has not come up and been tested yet. So as you can see right here on the macro view, if it comes up right now with only reaching the macro 0.5, it's going to hit this heavy resistance here and probably not be able to break it up any further, up at 93,000. But since we are ranging right here, and we do have lower time frame fib levels that are targeting lower at this time, that's the ideal, that's the bullish scenario where we can come up, scoop up support, and then build momentum so that we can break this bearish resistance here at 93,000. So that's really what we're tracking here. And as I said, it still is neutral. It's not leaning bullish or bearish yet. It needs more development or more a new level to be reached in order to clarify that further. So let's zoom into the smaller time frames and take a look at what's going on there. And then, like I said, I'll zoom back out and then show you the targets for these two scenarios. We deleted the most bearish one, but we will show you the two targets for these two scenarios here after these lower time frame levels are reached. So I'm going to zoom in.
You're going to show the targets for if we are on a wave 4,
right?
Which probably will likely get invalidated, or the targets for if this is a wave 2 and what would we would expect next.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So here, so I just realized this one is, so this is crypto.com, just to quickly show you guys, this was that wave 3 here. So this was that very bearish drop here. We've said this multiple times, but this low on the RSI, typically markets do not pivot when there is this extreme of a low. So this momentum, this bearish momentum that has formed was as bearish as when Bitcoin was at the low at 15,000. So just this was a multi-year low and just a very bearish low. So typically what this is showing the market makers is that there's still liquidity left down below. And before we kick off onto a new trend or on this major wave coming next, it really should come down and test the lows. The price lows, and as you can see, if it tests that price low, it's going to really need to reach that support that's right down below it. So that's why several waves are targeting this lower level here at 52, as high as 52.6, but down to 50. And you can see that there is a range there, and that's why I'm always mentioning that range. So I'm going to move to my other chart where I have most of my work. And this last wave that has formed here has been deceivingly bullish, I think, for a lot of people. Really, nothing has changed in the plan. Like I said, until it breaks up above this 79,000. So right now you can see that it is just ranging sideways, not really forming any common wave pattern or any typical structure like you would normally see. And so we need a break up above 79,000. But then, like I said, if it does that, we're going to be hitting strong resistance at 93. Or within this wave pattern now, ideally we'll break down this macro here down to these lower supports and scoop them up since we're so relatively close to that. And this is that bullish scenario. It's if it comes down and scoops it up first. So
basically the deeper correction we go, the larger opportunity we would have in that next trend. Where if we just kind of hold the correction level that we have so far, it really cuts short the opportunity in the trend next, right?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So from this wave 3 bottom here, we would be tracking a wave 4 after this wave 3 drop. And so as I just showed on those higher time frames, this would be either wave 4 of the 5th wave or a wave 4 of wave C. And if it is wave C, then that means the correction could be ending soon or has a chance to end right at that 618 there like I just showed. So from this wave 3, we're tracking a wave 4. Wave 4 has a textbook target of this 382 here. So it came up almost immediately and reached that 382 without forming any type of wave structure. So a lot of times when it hits the 382 like this very quickly, it often forms a complex correction. And that's kind of what we're seeing so far. I was planning for this correction to come up and reach as high as that 0.5 resistance here, because that would line up these bottom targets a lot nicer, which is that 618 here for that 5th wave, using the high there at this 0.5 fib. So when it came up and it just missed these two resistances here, it left a lot of liquidity. I believe it just had to reset a little bit, and it finally came up and tagged that resistance there at 75.4 and 74.7, which would have been that 1-to-1 fib for the correction. So these were just reached. So I am starting my 5th wave from this high here at 75.4. And from this high here, we would be tracking a 5-wave structure coming down. So this is still going to be the plan as long as we are below 75.4. So even though we've had what looks like to be an impulse here, this does not change that plan and that scenario leading us down to these lower targets here. So this is the 1 fib for C, and then this is the 5th wave for that 5th wave of C. And this is the macro support here at 50,000. So
and what we can see in these next highs chart on that and this impulse coming up is the exhaustion on the RSI. It's really clear how with every price kind of creeping up towards those retracement levels, each high is getting more and more exhausted on the RSI.
So you can see, this is what Cassie's showing. So every peak here that we had, where it's tried to come up, we've been losing our strength. So we're losing our bullish strength with every high that it's made here. So what I'm tracking this as is it really could be our wave 2. And it is taking quite a bit longer than what would normally happen during our wave 2, at least subwave, but it still is within wave 2 levels. So this wave 2 can come up as high as a double top here, right at 75.4, and still be targeting those lower levels like I just showed you down below. So yeah, the plan will not change unless it makes a new high above 75.4. If you guys think about what could be coming next, these really don't change that much. So even if you're buying, waiting to buy lower, or if, like I said, we're waiting for this level up here to break and flip to support, and then we will be buying there. That's the least risky entry. That's the entry with the least risk while we're at these levels here. So we're just going to be tracking this further. It does look like it is going to be exhausting soon, and we should be getting a retrace coming down. So that's what we're expecting next. So the waves will look something like this.
I was just going to say, I'm curious if you have that wave 3 measured and if it's aligning to below.
I do, yeah. And I don't know if I adjusted it with this new high here, so let's see. This is that wave 3 target, and so it made a little bit higher. So let's move that.
And could even target that 786. What's the price there?
Yeah, so the 786 is at 73.6. So that's our next resistance. So this is definitely strong resistance here on wave 2. So the fact that we are just slightly below it means that it is definitely possible that it comes up and tags that 73.6 first before dropping. This is definitely an okay level for subwave 2. So we have, and if you guys are charting, make sure to put in the coordinates here on your fib set so that they are exact. I'm not going to do that right now, but just make sure you guys put those in so you have the exact levels that you need to watch out for. So on this subwave 3 coming down, we're looking at around 55.4, and then our wave 4 would be next. So wave 4, I believe should come up and could test as high as that macro breakdown here. So still, just like Cassie showed on XRP, we're waiting for a big drop to come that breaks that macro support. And then wave 4 should come up and test it as resistance. The textbook target for wave 4 would only be a 382. Right now, these measurements here are just dependent on where wave 3 goes. So we will remeasure the wave 4 once we get closer, and obviously remeasure that 5th wave once we get closer there. So what I also like to do is put on the 618 on the same fib set when I'm measuring a wave 3, and this oftentimes tells us where wave 1 is of this trend. So you can see here that the 618 is right here, right in this cluster here. This is right in line with where we believe that wave 1 ended. So this is still looking okay for this trend coming down. I'm going to take it out because there's a big cluster of fibs there that we can't read. So, so this is looking okay still for our this scenario coming down for a 5th wave. And I want to make sure that these are in line. This one needs to come up just a little bit to this actual. And then, so it wouldn't surprise me that wave 4 can definitely target that 0.5 fib. In order to get this 0.5 fib right up to the macro level at testing it as resistance, this wave that we are in now could definitely come up to that 786 here at 736, because then you can see that the wave 4 will target the macro as resistance. So this is what we're looking out for now, is it coming up to 73.6, and that would just line up a little bit better for our test of resistance there. And then obviously that 5th wave next. We'll measure that later. So, yeah. So this is
is that 5th wave though aligning to the macro 618, like relatively in your plan?
This is so let's get that. I have it somewhere, but let's get that remeasured quickly. Just to make sure.
I think that's going to provide a lot of like confluence down there below.
Yeah.
If it's just generally in the same area.
Yeah. So this 5th wave is dependent on where wave 3, like the actual price for wave 3, and then the actual price. Yes. Okay. So that is perfect. So we have, this is that. Okay. Okay, so this is the 618 here that we just measured at 51.6. That's if our wave 4 comes up to test the macro as resistance. And then this 618 here is if wave 4 just comes to that textbook target. So I'm going to leave both of these on there, but keep in mind these will be adjusted with the actual prices. But you can see how in line this would be for that 5th wave. If it does come up after breaking the macro, coming up and testing as resistance, this is still falling perfectly in line. So everything is still okay. And we really need a break of these macro levels in order to really know further and to clarify further. So ideally, once it comes up to 73.6, what we're going to be watching for is a very strong breakdown. Really, at any moment, we should be having this major bearish drop coming in here. So that's what we're still expecting. If it does somehow gather enough momentum, which right now it doesn't have enough momentum to break past the 79,000. It definitely should have already, but if for some reason it gets momentum out of nowhere and is able to break up past this macro resistance, which is very strong resistance, we would wait for it to flip into support, and then we would go further from there, keeping in mind that we have that very bearish resistance still waiting for us at 93,000. So that's kind of the path that I think we're going to take. This just goes to show how these lower time frames are really what happens to Bitcoin within these next couple weeks is really going to define the future of Bitcoin. So we really, these levels that are reached next are very, very critical to Bitcoin to Bitcoin's future. So yeah, so that's
serious now.
It's getting serious. And I was going to mention that other one, but I'm going to just not. Let's go back to the daily and then show you guys. Okay, so all right, so this was on Binance. It's a little bit of a mess. You can see my lower time frame fibs here. But this is kind of that bullish path. If this does break the macro down and scoops up this 618 support, we believe that that could be enough momentum to break past that 93,000 resistance up to the all-time high. So really, no matter which scenario Bitcoin is on, if it comes down soon, or breaks down this, within these next few waves here, comes down to scoop up that support, we're still going to be hitting strong resistance at the all-time high. So we have that 618 measure there. This would be wave 1 of that new trend. And then it would have a drop coming down from wave 2, coming down right back down to test that major level like we're watching now at 93, but as support. So that's what we're going to be watching for. This is the bullish path on Bitcoin that I was showing, I think, sometime this week in our Discord. So this that bullish path, if it breaks down the macro at 64.4 and comes down and scoops up the 50,000 support, we believe then it would have enough momentum to come up to all-time high. So these waves will take quite a bit of time. You can see we'll have to have a new trend coming up to all-time high, and then another correction dropping from all-time high 125 as low as 80,000 again. So these are going to take quite a bit of time. I believe this is what's going to be forming this year if we are on this bullish path. So if Bitcoin does not come down below the macro and doesn't make a new low any further, we have two scenarios that are really in play. It's going to come up and hit this 93,000 as major resistance. At that time, it definitely could come back down and to scoop up that 618 support at 50,000 after that, or even the lower fib down at the 7 down there. And then
you cannot help but talk about
I know.
That.
But then also, so if the other market or the other side of the market that is still tracking this as a wave 4, we have measured that fifth wave extension reaching exactly at a double top as well. So no matter which scenario it's on, either that wave 4 with the macro wave 5 or this coming down for the wave 2 now, it's going to be hitting major resistance at a double top, no matter what. So these are in play.
But one would force the sharper correction back down towards 50,000.
Yeah.
And the other one ultimately would break all-time high after it gets that reaction, right?
Exactly. So the wave 4, whoever is tracking this as a wave 4, which really we shouldn't be tracking this as a wave 4. It's already invalid. But if you are very stuck in your ways and stubborn, like I am, but no, I've already moved on from wave 4. But
well, the reason a lot of people I think are still thinking it's wave 4 is we just had that wick below the 0.5, and then just major closes above the 0.5. So sometimes people can ignore like a wick invalidating it if we do get signs of a major trend, and we're not getting that either. So it's not like the following price action after that revealed that was okay.
Yeah.
It's like we pierced it and now we're just kind of holding.
Exactly.
There, should break.
But we've with the low that it made here, we've measured that fifth wave extension. And like I said, it's exactly at a double top. So that that scenario would come up to a double top, and like Cassie said, then we would need to form a whole nother major bearish correction after that. So that is, if you are tracking this as wave 4, that is another major bearish scenario that is happening at the same time. So like I said, we need new levels to be reached in order to clarify this any further, but we're tracking all three of those at the same time so that we can start to see if there's going to be any early indication on which path Bitcoin is going to take, and the levels that it reaches within these next couple weeks is going to define the future, those mid to long term targets on Bitcoin. So right now that we're on this, especially on this macro, just hovering right above this 0.5 neutral fib really doesn't define anything further. So we're just kind of waiting for more development. But as I showed on those lower time frames, we do have subwaves and wave targets that are thankfully targeting lower levels during this wave now. So hopefully they do come up, pick up that support so that we can all be on this very bullish blue trend here that I hope that it's on. So yeah, so that is Bitcoin, and I wish we could have a little bit more clarity. We've been stuck between these levels for months now, so we need a break of these in order to really know any further. But yeah, that's that.
That's that. Okay, well, thank you for doing that. And it always is really interesting to see how, even though really isn't confirmed on Bitcoin, how kind of Bitcoin and XRP are still very much aligned in what is happening, even on the small time frame here. So that's really interesting. But what is not aligned with Bitcoin and XRP are all of these altcoins are pretty much either coming down for new all-time lows or holding these supports that look like they're going to just take off at any time and kind of like move ahead of the rest of the market. So many altcoins are really in that position where it's a good time to be buying altcoins here soon. So let's take a quick look like across altcoins here. I don't know if you've gotten any requests for altcoins, but I'm going to
I have many.
Just go through. You do. Okay. I think we just go through. Let me know what ones you have.
Okay.
And I'll just start. I know a lot of people always request kind of like the same ones that we have on our watch list. So just let me know. After we go through altcoins, we'll kind of give a little bit of a recap of what we see on both Bitcoin and XRP. And then we'll go into a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, that would be a good time to put them in the chat so we can see them at the time that we'll be answering them. And then we'll close out for the day. So let's get over to these altcoins. Flipping over, and I'm probably going to look at them at a little bit of a smaller time frame. So let's start off with HBAR here. This is actually one of the few altcoins that haven't made a new low. Like it's holding its chart pretty well here. Let me get this rescaled a second. Okay, so we've been talking about HBAR in pretty much every one of our live streams, and we talked about how it would most likely be holding this 854 retracement as the low. So if I zoom out just a tiny bit, this is a wave 2 forming where we have a good ABC structure. And look at this 854 price action. Like this is definitely holding the 854.
It is.
And what's difficult about below the 854 is there really isn't any more fibs. Like we would just be looking at a double bottom at that point. But right now it really is trying to hold this 854. And that 854 is pretty much at the price we are at now, just under 9 cents. So HBAR is looking good. It has one of the cleanest charts like out there. So if I zoom out just a tiny bit more, you can see how we have our start of our trend right down here from the correction low, a good 5-wave impulse. And this is our wave 2. And look how nice that impulse has its 5 waves. We have a very clean ABC for our wave 2. So off of these lows, we should be kicking off a large wave 3. And, you know, different than XRP and Bitcoin, this really doesn't need to come down any further. So I'm loving what I'm seeing here on HBAR. I love when a chart is clean like this.
Yes.
And then so breaking up above, we have targets at $1 and $1.40. So I definitely think that we're going to be above the extension, which is at 67 cents. I think we'll be breaking up. So $1 or $1.40 would be our wave 3 breakout there. So we'll kind of see how that forms. Like we've been saying in every single live stream, on these altcoins that are just kicking off their new trend, and even XRP, once it starts to get into its wave 3, we're going to be trying to break down its wave 3 into 5 subwaves so that our extensions up above here we can really start to pinpoint where we think this is going to top. Because right now in a wave 3, it can really go to any extension until it starts to provide exhaustion in the market. So it could really start to extend heavily. And those internal 5 subwaves are what we're going to use to kind of help determine where it's heading. So I don't want anyone to be like, oh, they have like 10 targets of where this could go. it really should start to get more precise here once we kick off. But the focus right now is that we are at the lows here. We are at the lows of wave 2, and this is a great time to be adding to your holdings on HBAR. So we are definitely at a very good support here and could really kick off into our wave 3 at any time. It doesn't need any lower, and even XRP doesn't need any lower. It's just our small time frame waves or structure is hinting that it's going to need those lower waves. So yeah, HBAR is looking really good here. So definitely keeping an eye on that one. And then GRT is one of my favorite altcoins. And I think it's because of the opportunity. So we could see here for a long time, this is the daily chart and this is the all-time low right here. It's just kind of holding this price, holding steady, waiting for momentum to kick in. So this is another really good one. If we zoom out here as much as we can, that was actually a new all-time low. So we don't have a whole lot we don't have an extension that we can pull. We're just kind of waiting for those first initial subwaves to print so that we can get mapped out. But what we do have are retracement levels. So the retracement of the trend, our first retracement level is at 35 cents. And with the low that it's made, look how nicely our previous highs are kind of targeting that. That always is a good sign that we've come to a major level. When we don't really have anything else to go off of, that's a really good sign that that was a major level on GRT that it could hold. But our first resistance, like I said, 35 cents, we've already tested that level a few times. So in my opinion, if we break off to a new trend, it would come to that next resistance level. That next resistance level is 69 cents. So all the way from our 2.5 cents up to 69 cents. That's what we're targeting. And that's why GRT is my favorite. And I have literally bought almost every one of these major retracements on the way down. So I am definitely locked and loaded on GRT, ready for those higher prices. The coins or these altcoins down here at the bottom really should be making new all-time highs. So even though we're just kind of targeting these more conservative and that's only a 236 retracement, these really should start to take off, the projects that are really promising, up to new all-time highs. So I'm willing to take profit at 69 cents because that is just an incredible return. And especially if you're averaging down in here at this 2.5 cents. So GRT is looking good. And definitely as we zoom in, you can really see that bottom trying to form, right? So fingers crossed that that's low. Yeah, and that we start to take off. Yeah. I don't think every altcoin will be taking off though.
Right.
So we have to be careful and find like those really solid
that's what I was going to be saying.
I'm willing to bet though. Like I'm willing to like throw some money in. Like I'm not missing this party.
Well, apparently you're willing to throw all your money in, GRT.
I am willing to bet the farm on GRT here. So yeah. Hopefully you guys, some of you join me. Some of you get in this party with me. Okay,
so we have Solana and Ethereum. Let's look at that Solana. I know you don't want to look at Ethereum.
I don't.
I don't like it either, but remember to trade Ethereum instead of Bitcoin.
I still remember when Ethereum was $17.
Yeah. I remember when it was like, $3? Even lower than...
I'm so annoyed at Ethereum. And, yeah, I don't want to piss anyone off. But
we used to chart Ethereum and trade Bitcoin off of Ethereum's chart. Because at the time, it was so much more clear. But now it's not. Now Ethereum's...
Now we can't even look at the chart.
I don't like how it didn't reach wave 3 targets on this is Solana, but I don't like how it didn't push past that last high on Ethereum, because normally that wave would have, but it didn't. So yeah, this is Solana.
It broke structure basically on Ethereum.
Yeah, it broke
yeah. So this is Sol, and this what I am tracking is this being a wave 2 coming down. Normally that wave 2 does target the 618. You can see here it had a tiny bit of reaction and just continue to break down lower. So naturally the next support that you would look for is the 786. And so far holding off that 786. This is it right here. The price is at 69.69 for that 79 cent or 786. And it really came right down to that and started bouncing off. So this could be our low that we're seeing here. And then as we zoom in just a little bit more, this definitely, in my opinion, looks like a wave 3 coming down. So this could still be our wave 4 that we're seeing here. And then final lows, if we do make a new low, could target as low as, what's that price? 55, pretty much. 55
that one for C.
Yeah.
And that 618 extension is for the 5th.
Yes.
Okay, so it didn't reach target yet.
Yeah, it hasn't. But it is kind of holding. Like it did bounce off that larger degree, 786, and doing something. This is the daily. So kind of like what we're seeing on XRP, where it's just not a whole lot happening. And this was a very strong sell pressure here. So most likely, like if I had to zoom it out for time or push it out for time, this is that wave 5 target there. This is the C target. So there is lower fibs that we could go to. And then what you see over here is just tracking for a scalp. So I'm not giving this a whole lot. But if we do start to break up above 89, 87, it could be a good scalp up to this resistance at 109 and still come down. So I was just tracking this for a little bit of a trade. So a lot of altcoins, as they're coming down for new lows in the correction or even new all-time lows, will provide really good scalp trades on the way up. So Tara and I, when we scalp trade, we like to trade the 118 retracement to the 236. It's very conservative. And it's just really trading like the retraction, like back to its mean or average price. So as something comes down in a correction really low, it's most likely that the market will return back to its mean. So that's why we kind of capture or scalp that return from 118 to 236. And that's what you see here is it's just taking the trend all the way down for this new low that was made. And then you would trade from 118 up to 236. And a lot of times there's other confirmation that you bring into that. But we could go as low as, down over here towards that. What was that? $64. That's the wave 5 extension. And look how nicely the retracements line up with our larger macros that way. So that's kind of another tip that we do when we're looking for if a low is significant enough, is if our retracements align more to the macro. So definitely could still come down a little bit, but just kind of tracking that.
Yeah, is it Couch or Ethereum and Solana are front running the market right now, and I don't see Solana front running anything right now. I see it looks like it's just going sideways. It doesn't look like it has like the momentum, that's really going to pull up any other altcoins or anything with it. This looks like it could come down.
We haven't even broken the 118 retracement yet.
Yeah.
So I think it's very difficult to say that this is front running anything. This is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And definitely still has
zoom out to the weekly time frame a second.
So people are saying that they can't see the numbers, and I can barely see the numbers on there. That's kind of why I'm calling them out.
Yeah.
So the 618 down below, like I said, is $63 or $64. And then our 118, which is that first retracement level, is at $90.60, which could be a good trade up towards $109. But I do still think that we would come down to this level here at that 64, because you could see how our retracements line up a lot better if we do that. So I do still think, even though we're kind of ranging, we probably should come down a little bit more.
I mean, especially the C and then the fifth wave, the 618.
Yeah, they're lower.
Reached.
So the lowest target that we have here on Sol is $55-ish.
Yep.
So we'll kind of see how that plays out. And it really is kind of hitting resistance like right now. Okay, so that's Sol. Either way, though, as we're looking at Sol and what we just saw on H-bar, is that it pretty much is in the same kind of market position, where this would be a wave 2 coming down. And it kind of is holding, like it's not making a new low, similar to H-bar, where there's other coins like GRT that have made new all-time lows. So they're a little bit different in their market position, but really should all start to kick off at the same time. Some of these other ones that have already made a new all-time low, we're seeing really strong momentum off of that low, like on Algo. So I'll go over to Algo quickly and kind of see where we're at there. Look at this RSI. This is what I would say is front running the market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look at our RSI here. This is what we want to see in a new trend, where we just get a very clear takeoff of momentum. And it definitely, this is on the daily, but as I zoom in a little bit, it's broken past kind of its first previous resistances, and we want to see this start to build a new trend. So this could be just the first small little wave 1 of larger degree targets from here. So we definitely could be finding our bottom here on Algo. And look, as it's approaching that bottom, like how nice a build up on the momentum that we saw. This kind of looks similar to GRT, like where we have a good solid bottom forming, and we should see some good kickoff from there. So even if Bitcoin comes down and affects Algo a little bit, Algo really shouldn't be making any more new lows. It could just start to come down for its wave 2 retracement. So let me just zoom in a little bit. This is the
above the 118 and not the 118 as support.
Yes. So this is the 118 here. We could come up to here, and that would be a good solid first wave that we could start to get mapped out all the future waves. So just like what we're seeing on Algo, we want to see replicated on some of these other ones that haven't kicked off yet. So Algo is definitely one that is front running the altcoin market.
Yeah. It's so low. I can't believe how low Algo went.
I know.
A new all-time low. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it was due. This was due.
7 cents. And all-time highs are like what, 280? Up towards like 280 is I'm gonna ignore that wick. Yeah, but 280, it was his all-time high. So a lot of these coins should be making new all-time highs, especially the stronger projects, like Algo should be. Yeah. I really like Algo. I don't like how they took away the rewards.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened there.
I know.
Okay, so this one is looking good just based on the chart. Like this is looking like this is what we want to see across the market here. So that one is looking nice.
Alts can really before Bitcoin does. Definitely, obviously, Algo did, but
altcoins could start to lead the market before Bitcoin and XRP does. But this is Flare. I'm getting a little bit excited about Flare, like a little hot about this one. So, it had pretty much its entire life has been in this consolidation, right? And then we broke down below, not good, but we are getting signs that we're kicking off. So what I like about the major consolidation is it really hasn't had a chance to like show itself. It's been stuck in this consolidation pattern its entire life cycle so far. We might get a really strong run on Flare because of that. And as I zoom in, it looks so similar to Algo, right? We just have a straight shot down to hell. And we're getting signs that we are kicking off again. So this RSI is exactly what we want to see. You can see that it was kind of building up momentum for a long time. We had a good drop of our momentum, but price held. And now we're starting to break back above. So just like we saw in Algo, where we have that really strong major trend coming, we're breaking above 70 on the momentum. That could be what we see on Flare here very quickly. And as I zoom in a little bit, you can see it's about to start that.
The tiniest bullish candle. Yes. Cassie thinks this is about to start.
Of it.
Yeah, so what we would really need to see is a break above the 118. That's like the flip switch fib. So the 118 is at 0.009. So once it breaks above that, then I think it could start to show its hands. But right now, I think it's just kind of doing nothing.
But this is the time to be getting in, especially like spot buying, any adding to holdings.
We need to make sure that we are vetting these projects and make sure we're only investing in projects that have very strong utility. Because especially some of these ones that made new all-time lows, some of these are not going to recover. Like, I don't think this is going to be the same as all the other bull runs. Yeah, I think this is going to be very, it's going to be very selective on which ones are going to make it out of this correction on some of these altcoins. So, and how long have we been hearing that they're like, in the future of like, I don't know how many participants were coming out, with like the internet or like whatever software for the internet, like AOL, all that. But we know only a couple survived. I think that is going to be like the future of crypto, where really only a handful of these are going to make it. We don't need. How many are there? Was there like 300,000?
There's like thousands more created every day.
Like 300,000 cryptos. We don't need that. And it's going to definitely be fizzled down to like maybe 5 or 10 that really are going to survive. So we just have to be very careful on which ones we are investing in. Mm-hmm. I say that, but I have like literally, I just bought all of like the top 50. I'm pretty sure I went in and just literally bought the top 50.
About the top, yeah.
Altcoins. I have so many altcoins. I wish I didn't. But yeah, I have too many altcoins right now. But I didn't put that much into them. But I'm just saying we really need to be very selective on which ones that.
But if you want to compare like the crypto market maybe to the internet, like I almost think of the different coins that come out as like websites. Like how many websites are there out there? Where we have the really strong ones that everyone uses day to day. But then there's all these random other like websites out there and altcoins and meme coins that don't have a whole lot of use. And
but I was gonna say they need a reason to buy though. Yeah. So, sorry, I almost knocked over my water. But yeah, so they need a reason to buy. Like this isn't really just a website where just people can go and use it. People need a reason to put money into it, in order for it to grow. So
websites do provide more utility and use than just a random meme coin.
Yeah, true.
And they're free to get to mostly if they're small.
Yeah. I don't know. I
just throwing that out there.
We just wanted to be very selective about which ones we are.
We do. And regulations coming in should kind of vet out that all the noise that's been there.
So the SEC and CFTC have both classified so far 16 cryptos that are now classified as commodities. So that is showing that group of 16 of them have utility. So when something is a commodity, it's useful for something. So that's a really good start on someone looking to invest into cryptos that have utility. That list right there, and hopefully they come out with a new list, and hopefully Al goes on it. But yeah, so hopefully a lot more coins are going to be coming out with more clarity soon. But that was a really good start, and a good start to know which ones to invest in while these are at new all-time lows, which is something that I never thought.
What's crazy is just how much the market has matured, like over the last 10 years, where back in the day, like we were celebrating anything that made the space look like a legitimate thing.
Yeah, if it had a website, you bought it.
Anything that made crypto legitimate, like, was this big, huge win. And now we're talking about legit law and regulations coming in just to formalize it more. It's just so much more exciting, and no one really talks about it. Like, that big shift between, like you were saying, like, if it had a white paper and a website, like, and a team, you bought.
Yeah.
And it went up.
Yeah.
But then now it's just getting so much more mature and complex, which is great. Yeah. So this is Flare. Flare's looking good with that tiny little uptick. We could start to see this, materialize into something. A nice new trend, just like we saw in Algo. Okay. So should we do a little bit of a recap? We're kind of getting.
Yeah, because we are getting
late, pressed
for time. I just realized what time it was. So, let's do a little bit of a recap. And I think the question that we got during the stream.
Okay.
If you guys have any questions, make sure to put them in now so that we can...
Okay, is this Q&A time?
Okay, this is recap time, so don't ask your questions until Q&A time.
Don't ask your question until it's Q&A. Okay, so let's get back to XRP here. So this is the Coinbase chart here on XRP. I'm going to zoom into the 1 hour here. So this is what we're seeing. That drop down did actually form a little bit of support on the RSI. So I'm just watching closely. Like I said, we need these little time frames here, time frame resistance to get broken in order to invalidate our plan. But this is just still like kind of looking like price consolidation to me. If this doesn't make a new high above like $1.39 or $1.39 is right here, or the $1.47 pretty much, then this plan stays valid. And in this plan, we're looking for a large drop for a wave 3. And that wave 3 would be targeting $1.10 on Coinbase or $1 over on Binance. Really, it's targeting these major levels. So whatever the 786 is on your exchange, that would be the target next. And then below that, still totally valid to come to the 854 support, which on Coinbase is at 87 cents. So we're still looking at those lower supports, unless for some reason price is able to break up above $1.65, because then that would completely change all of our subwaves down here and the plan. If it can break $1.65 and flip to support, that's going to be our next signal to get in and make these lower supports down here much less likely to be reached. So we're just kind of hanging out right between support and resistance. So nothing has really changed on that plan.
Yep. Looks good.
Yeah.
And the same thing on Bitcoin. We can flip to my Bitcoin really quick. Same thing on Bitcoin. This is the daily, but let's zoom in just a second. Even though we've had a minor push up here, you can see no new levels have been reached. So the plan is still the same. And I have to flip to my other one.
And definitely showing exhaustion there on the other side.
Yep, so the plan is still the same. Even though we've had this push up here, we still have like that major pull, and the majority of the market is leaning down towards this 55.4 here and down to eventually those lower supports down here. And this is actually the bullish scenario on Bitcoin. So if you are a bull, you really want this to happen. We really need this to come down and scoop up this support here down at around 52.2 down to 48.9 or so. So these are still the targets. This is still the major pull in the market. And we say that because of how bearish this last drop was. So normally markets, especially on the macro time frame, will not pivot on a market. We can't see it down. Is it down here? I can't. Where is this? This is the 1 hour. I'm too zoomed in. So anyway, with that last major bearish drop there, normally markets do not pivot with this much momentum. So with this low here, this is really what's keeping us from taking off really any further. And probably the reason why we're going sideways now is because of how bearish that last drop was right here. This is as low as Bitcoin was when Bitcoin was at 15,000. So this is really just telling the market makers which drive the market that there is still liquidity down below. And so that's why we have these targets coming down to scoop up that next support. So this is the trend that we should be keeping as it's starting to come down. So what I'm noticing here also on that 4 hour is that could be why we had to push up just slightly here, because it was getting close to the trend line here. So it had to kind of reset a little bit so that when it does start dropping, we can keep this bullish this trend here, which will be bullish on that next low. So when Bitcoin comes down and makes a new low past the 60,000 here, that will be the bullish divergence. We'll have a new low in price down here, but our RSI will most likely hit this trend line here and show that bullish divergence on these mid to higher time frames. So like Cassie said, the plan is still the plan. Everything's the same unless one of these levels is broken. And right now, no new level has been reached. So we're still tracking that same thing there.
Yeah.
So On Bitcoin, and did it I can't see. Okay, so Bitcoin did not reach 73.6 yet. So that is the resistance that I'm kind of looking for it to be reached on these lower time frames. You can see the RSI is dwindling, so the momentum's dwindling, and this bullish strength here is losing strength. So I do think that it could come up and reach the 73.6 and then start to drop. We should see a big drop right after it reaches one of these support levels. The drop should be fairly obvious.
Resistance.
All right. Oh yeah, right when it reaches one of these resistance levels, it should start to drop almost immediately. It has to be very strong, if you can imagine, to break this macro time fib support down. This is going to have to be a very bearish, strong drop. So that's what I believe is going to be coming soon. So, but yeah, let's
Q&A time.
Yeah, let's do Q&A. We've already gone through a lot of the questions, and one question that I did get that I do remember is, do you think, and we get this almost every single streamcast, but do you think that the Clarity Act is going to change any of the XRP targets? I've seen that asked a couple times during our streams. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think always the news will be aligned with what the charts are saying. So if the Clarity Act gets announced, most likely we would have already seen our wave 2 low before then, and we will be heavily into a new trend when that's off. So most likely major news like that Clarity Act, if you can even say it's major, like I feel like there gets so much hype in the different acts that pass and then nothing kind of happens. But major news is usually aligned with a wave 3 in the market cycle, because that's when we get full participation from everyone and they're trying to push the price up as high as it will go. And normally that happens
after we've seen the low in price.
Mm-hmm.
So most likely, if once we get that announced, our wave 2 low should be in.
Yeah.
But what we've seen on XRP is this is already below that 618 support, which is really that standard wave 2 target. I still think it's going to come down lower. But if for some reason we get a surprise and it really starts to take off, we've already reached significant levels that this would be okay for a wave 2. But just like with what you showed on Bitcoin and what we are seeing zoomed in on XRP, we really want to pick up those lower supports first to just give us all a really strong push up and make sure Bitcoin and XRP are aligned on that new large trend coming, because then it could get kind of exhausted and fizzle out sooner than later. Yeah. So I think that the news, like the Clarity Act, will get announced once we've seen our low in price.
Yeah,
which could happen anytime. Like we could be seeing this low today and then through the weekend, into next week.
We keep saying that sometime soon.
Yeah, sometime soon.
Okay, so if you had to choose between Flare or GRT, which one would you bet the farm on?
GRT.
I knew you were going to say that. Well, yeah, and I mean, if I had to, I would too, just because of the project itself. I know Flare has a lot going for it, but just the project itself of GRT is so strong. And it's at
the indexing protocol.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the opportunity there.
Yeah.
So from the 2.5 cents that we're seeing now all the way up, even the first resistance at 35 cents, that's just an incredible return. It should go to that 69, no problem. So it has a huge opportunity on GRT. And I have both of them. So I'm really rooting for both of them. But with Flare, we kind of have to get reset on some of those because, for one, it's been constricted down into a triangle. So its retracements are much smaller. So we're kind of betting on extensions at new highs to get our targets. For GRT, we're just targeting the most conservative retracement level, and it's still an incredible opportunity for us. So I would say GRT.
Yeah. And Tracy, yes, we will be posting these charts, which we post charts every single day, and we go live every day in our Discord for those of you that don't know. But of course, we're going to be definitely posting our charts as the markets develop. And so we post those every day, Tracy, just so you know. She said she's new to our channel. We post our charts on X, over on Twitter, if you do want to keep up with our analysis. And then, like I said, in our Discord, we do go through the markets daily. So thank you for being here, Tracy. And thank you. I think that's Brian. but I'm not sure. But thank you guys for those questions. Do you have any questions over there on X?
Yeah, I do. So lots going on in the chat on X. So there's Danny asks, if Flare's RSI finds support on the trend line, does RSI on Flare Euro daily show a clear regular bullish diversion? So let me look back at Flare here. Oh, I'm like, why is this not moving? It's your chart. Okay, I'm going to go back to Flare. And I'm even just curious what the RSI is looking like on the regular USDT. Okay, so our lowest low here, there is a little bit of a bullish divergence, at least on the USDT. I know you're wondering about Euro, but here on the USDT, it technically is, because this is our lowest low in price. If I had to reset, it kind of is looking more like that. But even with this, okay, wait.
Strong.
Yeah, it's not very strong. Like, it's not. Where's our top here? I'm trying to get the RSI pulled up, and it's just not finding it for me. Okay, so here's our lowest low. I don't know. It's like almost a double bottom, like pretty much. I guess this is a little lower. Yeah, and a lot of times when you're setting the divergence, the angle of your divergence will help you determine how strong of a breakout that we're going to see. And with this divergence, it's not that strong. Like Tara was saying, this is not a very strong divergence. It is there, but I was curious on the USDT pair what that was looking like. I guess you could kind of say that. I'm assuming that the euro is the same. I don't have the euro pair. Let's see. Where's that euro? Ooh, here's the euro pair. And why are we on euro pair? Why are we using the euro pair? Okay, so is this the price? Okay, so price.
So there's not on this pair. I'm assuming
it really technically does have a bullish divergence because the price coming down now. It's the lowest low, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Yeah.
The lowest low, and it is higher. So it does technically have that, but not a whole lot of volume and really weird, like, skippity prices.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't like charts that look like that. I feel like a lot of currency charts look like this. But yeah, it does technically have that bullish divergence down there. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Flare. Question. Let me zoom back in so I can have something in my background here. Okay, so this is still XRP, still coming up a little bit, but still okay in this plan. Like, nothing has changed here. Still thinking we're going to have that drop down. Just got to let that materialize a little bit.
Yeah. So do you think that the targets, do you think that we're going to be pushing towards our sell targets on some of these altcoins this year? Or how long do you think that that's going to take?
I do think it is this year, especially on those smaller cap coins that are taking off. Like, even to GRT was that first retracement. So it's not even at a new high.
Yeah.
So I definitely think, like, GRT, like, is this year. For XRP, like you were showing, it might take a little longer. I am always leaning more bullish than you. Like, I'm always thinking this is going to, like, be really fast and print out within weeks. Yeah. What we know is this wave 3 could or should take several weeks to form to the top. So it's about 2 months from our low, a few months up for wave 3. So we definitely could see wave 3 tops on XRP this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, GRT is my number one altcoin right now.
Yeah, obviously. We know.
It is listed on Coinbase.
Oh, wait, but over XRP?
I just think XRP...
We don't think XRP is an altcoin.
Yeah, I don't.
We don't treat XRP as an altcoin.
It's the main character. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't consider it an altcoin, even though it kind of is or kind of isn't. I don't know. I think of like the smaller tier ones as altcoins.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my favorite. Okay, so do you have any other questions, Tar?
I don't think so. No. I don't think so.
Okay. Okay, so Capone wants us to see the Kraken exchange, see if our XRP Wave 3 is different. I thought that Kraken was really similar to Binance, but let's just see. Kraken. Is it Kraken or Kraken?
I would say Kraken, but I know you pronounce it. I do.
Oh, oops, I just deleted it. Okay, here we are in Kraken. And let's zoom out like a lot so we can get our targets.
Up or wave 3 down? Because
I think wave 3 up. Okay. Right, Capone? Wave 3 up? Okay, so let's hide the... I just want to see... Okay, it is similar to Binance, but let's... Yeah, all these fibs are very similar to Binance, where we're looking at the 786 around $1. So it shouldn't be far from that. And what we're hoping is that once we have this way too low, that Binance and Coinbase will start to align again. So that's kind of what the hope is. But let me just get this target here. And this is the low that we're going from. Oh, wave 3 down. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Redo this. Zoom in.
Zoom in way further than
way zoom in. Let's get that target. So I need to pull these fibs here because it looks like look at Kraken. It hasn't even come up to a 618 yet. That's crazy. So this would be a little bit different here on the subwaves. And it's hard to know, like the rest of the market has already come to a 618. So that's weird. And this is just at the 382. But let's just do it from the high that's made so far. And if it comes up any higher, it definitely has to get adjusted. So let's pull the wave 3. So stop. I'm starting right at that trend. If you start over at this high here, it really doesn't change your significant levels all that much.
that's why I have it.
Yeah, I know
It
other
doesn't
people like
change it.
Jeff in our Discord also has that. So I guess I'm gonna do for the level
Yeah.
that it's already reached.
So this is more bearish than
Yeah.
just
Yeah, that's interesting. So 2618. I can barely see those prices. But that's a 2618. Down towards 85 cents. So that's that first. I don't understand why it didn't even move
So
that
if it
much.
reached that again on the first wave because that might be the fifth wave at 85. And that might, you know what I mean? It might have an extension on Kraken.
Yeah, it might just get cut short.
Mhm.
Where's our one? This could be, instead of having a good extension, we might just get a 1. So that's at $1.06 pretty much. Just above the 786. This is our 786 there.
And so because of the price discrepancy, maybe stick to those higher time frame retraces of the target.
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking at the subwaves here.
No, not you, Cass. I'm saying like the 786 and the 854 ports. Maybe
Yeah, those are the major.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 786 is $1.02 pretty much, and then the 854 is at like 79 cents.
Yeah.
So more aligned closer to Binance. Maybe go off Binance's wave 3.
Yeah.
I'm curious if Binance now came to that. But yeah, I don't like how this wave barely even retraced, where all the other exchanges did come to our 618 already.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But yeah, like Tara said, I would just stick to these larger fibs down here, larger supports.
Yeah.
And definitely showing signs that this was our wave 3. Look how strong of a wave 3 that is. And it has a lot of just like deviation from the normal. So this is the target, and then look at our wick. So yeah, still kind of same overall, but our small subwaves are weird here on Kraken.
So,
Fran's tuning in on the chart or in the chat. Hey,
who
Fran.
is? Who?
Someone from France.
Oh, France, yeah.
Hello. Okay, what do we want to do next, Tar?
Well, I think we only have a little bit of time, but I think before we go, maybe we can take everybody, just do like a little sneak peek into our Discord, because I know a lot of, like Tracy has asked, there's a lot of people that are asking that are new to us that want to know, where do we post our charts and where do we hang out and stuff. And so that's really where we hang out most of the time during the week, is in our Discord. We do a daily live thing there. We're going through our lessons currently now. So maybe we can take them through our Discord, just quickly show them around and show them what it's all about inside the Discord. And then just before we take off, because I know we only have a little bit of time, but maybe we can do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, let's do it. I'll go in my Discord then. And so let's do that really quickly.
Okay, so a little sneak peek into the Discord.
Yes, let's do a little sneak peek into our Discord.
Really, the Discord is where we hang out most of the week when we're not here on X. So it's a good place to just stay connected with us. And Tara will probably go through the different channels that we have in there and what you get kind of inside the Discord. So let me flip over to her here a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so here is this is inside the Twins of Crypto Discord. So if you guys want to join us there, just head to twinsofcrypto.com, and then that's where you can get signed up and join there. This is our main chat. So this is where a lot of our members can just come in, chat. They post, their thoughts about the market. We have other people that post in here, and this is just really where we keep the conversation going throughout the week. We also have the lounge here, which this is where we host our morning markets. We're still trying to come up with a name that flows for that. But yeah, so this morning is our
markets. We made it clever, and then we can never say it because it's just
we say a different name every single time we talk about this. But yeah, so the lounge is where we host kind of like a shorter version of this live here, like this live stream on X is just a shorter version where we can come together daily, talk about what we're watching for in the markets that day and what we think is going to be happening during the day. That's there. And then we also have this live stream replays where if you did miss that like that lunchtime show, I guess you can say morning markets, then that's where you can come in and watch the live streams. And then like I said, we're going through our course right now in our Discord. So every week we go through a new lesson. Next week is going to be one of the last lessons of our course. So right now we have those replays in here to go back through our lessons that we've been doing. That's under the live stream replays. And then we also have our crypto market updates. So this is where we post a little bit deeper analysis and more relevant, I guess, analysis and more often than Twitter. And so this is just where you can find that. We have our crypto market updates. We also have links to our live charts here, which I think is so cool because you get 24/7 access to our actual live charts. So as we go through the markets and adjust our fib levels, and as counts change and as new development comes in, you could just go here and click on one of the charts and it will automatically be updated to exactly what we're watching in real time in the live market. So this has been a really great tool to be able to follow along closely there. And then also inside our Discord, we have Blofin support. So we have a member from the exchange on Blofin that is just in our Discord directly helping our members. If you guys need help with anything on the exchange, transferring, placing orders, any question, any kind of support, he's really great helping us there. And then this is where we are. This is where our course is living at the moment. So this is where we have our the market analysis framework, which is our course. And this is where all those lessons will be posted as we go through them. Like I said, we only have one more lesson until our full course is done. So yeah, this is inside our Discord. We would love for you guys to come join us there. We want to get more traders in there. We want some more people that are following the market like us and charting. And we also want some more traders in there that go through a lot of the coins that we don't really pay that close attention to. So we just want a lot more diversity in there. We want more traders in there. So if you guys are looking for a place to connect with us and to connect with other traders that are also going through the market at the same time, please come and join us. Like I said, that's at twinsofcrypto.com, and you can get started there right away. So anything else you want to add about our Discord, Cass?
I don't think so. I think that's going to wrap it up for today. If you missed any part of this live stream, the full replay is posted over on YouTube and on X. So feel free to watch it as many times as you want and share it with all of your friends. That would really help us out. Make sure to like this stream over on X, on YouTube. Make sure you're following us. It always is good to stay connected. We do these live streams every single Friday, and big moves should be happening in the market. So we appreciate all of you being